Strong gale force winds left a trail of chaos across the south recently, causing issues at Queenstown Airport and taking a local boat for a ride that had been stagnant for years.
Strong winds and rain once again causing havoc in central Otago on Monday, causing flight delays and cancellations at Queenstown Airport, along with other issues around the basin. Up to 24 flights were cancelled throughout the day, with northwest gales gusting up to 120 kilometres across the airport runway. Airport Chief Operating Officer Todd Grace says a few planes were able to get in and out of the airport, while others had to circle in the sky or divert to Christchurch.
Yeah, it has been gusty and it's been a little bit patchy, so some flights have been able to get in, and it's just if they happen to time it right and they get in between, the wind being really bad, and there's certain times of the day it's been blowing across the runway, and that's what the airlines really struggle with, is when those winds blow across the runway.
Grace recommends those whose flights have been cancelled to contact the airline as soon as possible. And in other parts of the region, notable Queenstown catamaran the Ruawaka has taken its first trip in a decade after its ropes broke and released the vessel into the lake. The large boat sailed across Lake Wakatipu, being pushed along by the strong winds, ending up on Calvin Heights Peninsula after being saved by the Queenstown Coast Guard. In Queenstown, the South Today.
A convicted anti-oil grandma is refusing to stay silent after being sentenced in Dunedin earlier this week as she looks to continue her battle against climate change. Rosemary Ann Penwarden was found guilty for forging a fake letter in an attempt to derail a petroleum conference over 4 years ago.
Relief for Rosemary Penwarden as she embraces with her small group of supporters after avoiding jail time. The 64-year-old was sentenced to 125 hours community work on Monday afternoon after the jury found her guilty for creating and using a fake document in an attempt to derail a New Zealand petroleum conference in 2019. Penwarden expressed her happiness with the sentencing, even though her application to be discharged without conviction was denied.
I'm here, I'm not in prison. This is good news. This is good news. I'm more than happy to do community work. It's what I do, it's my life. So that doesn't really feel like a punishment.
During the trial, she admitted to being behind the ruse, but insists it was simply satire and argues there were bigger issues at play.
We have got to start to see the bigger picture. We've got to start standing up together and be loud and be brave.
It seems the criminal charge isn't going to slow Penwarden down, as she admits she doesn't regret what she's done, claiming she'll never stop advocating for the environment. In Dunedin, the South Today.
The long wait for safe drinkable water is almost over for some parts of Queenstown, but others may still be waiting for months.
Thousands of Queenstown residents will finally be able to drink straight from the tap as the Calvin Heights water treatment plant boil water notice gets lifted on Thursday. The notice was put in place late last month after the resort town's cryptosporidium outbreak, but residents of Frankton, Quail Rise and Hanley's Farm are now in the clear. Though the Calvin Heights site wasn't believed to be a part of the outbreak, doubts that the UV filter wasn't working caused concern. On the other hand, those around central Queenstown will have to continue boiling their water until early December, as the 2 Mile plant is still waiting for their new UV filter.
Best case, probably 6 to 8 weeks. Yeah, okay. It's substantial kit, and once you get it in place, you've still got to commission it and go through all the testing. So, but we're working at it.
The Wakatipu Basin has reached 60 confirmed cryptosporidium cases, with the council still unable to locate the source of the outbreak. In Queenstown, the South Today.
A Dunedin principal is in disbelief after an act of vandalism covered up the school's new source of pride. The St Joseph's Cathedral School's collaborative Māori Jesus mural has been painted over, with Principal Joe Stanley believing it was racially motivated.
This wall is once again a blank slate, just 3 weeks after it was an icon of multiculturalism. The St Joseph's Cathedral School's been left reeling after finding someone had covered up their recently created Māori Jesus mural with an overnight paint job. The primary school's principal, Joe Stanley, can't believe someone would destroy the kids' hard work, claiming it takes a certain character to vandalise the painting.
And especially in a Catholic school, we're all about values, and that shows absolutely no values at all.
The mural was painted by local artist Araha Novak and some of the primary school's pupils to celebrate a multicultural vision of Jesus. Stanley says the vandal had to have been really vindictive and thinks the act of vandalism must have been racially motivated.
Yeah, just someone that obviously has a lot of anger about it to take the time to actually do what they've done.
While Stanley's not looking forward to breaking the news to the pupils, she says they'll get straight back to work on repainting their Māori Jesus mural. In Dunedin, the South Today.
With elections just around the corner, all parties are making their final campaign push. Queenstown locals got a chance to speak with their MP candidates recently, asking the hard-hitting questions on how to resolve some pressing issues in the resort town.
Southland MP candidates came together in Queenstown on Thursday evening to hear what the public has to say. The Q&A event hosted at the Crown Beer Garden saw the four politicians answering serious questions, such as the resort town's housing crisis and lack of infrastructure. They will also ask some get-to-know-you-better questions, which were more playful, such as have they stolen a road cone?
Not a road cone.
Oh, what did it steal?
A road sign.
What did it say?
I think it stop sign. It was a long time ago though. Not a road cone.
I was trying to think how myself. Can't hear you.
When asked about Three Waters following Queenstown's cryptosporidium outbreak, ACT candidate Todd Stephenson was against the legislation, while National MP Joseph Mooney believes a change is needed, but Three Waters isn't the answer. However, the Green and Labour MPs were in full support of the proposed idea, believing it's a good plan that has been communicated poorly.
That it's the health system that suffers when we have poor water quality. I think it's really important that we actually look at ensuring that there is investment over the long term and that you don't rely on a very small rate base.
A local nurse brought up concerns about the size and lack of infrastructure at the Queenstown Hospital, with all four agreeing that more investment is needed in the health sector.
I think we need to be taking a triangular vision in health in this region. So we need to be looking at Central Otago, Queensland Lakes, we need to be looking at Otago, we need to look at Dunedin, because our population here is already bigger than other places in the country that have base hospitals.
The Q&A comes as a last-ditch campaign run from MPs, with the New Zealand general elections opening at the start of next week. In Queenstown, the South Today.
Whai Yakane still to come on Southern Newsweek. A long-awaited jetty restoration is finally complete in Canterbury after being closed for more than a decade. And a Queenstown food charity finally finds a new home thanks to a generous outpouring from the local community. Tēnā koe, welcome back. A community-led project to rebuild a small coastal town's earthquake-damaged jetty came to fruition last weekend. After 8 years of hard work, Governor's Bay officially reopened their brand new jetty, which was welcomed with great fanfare and festivities.
A symbol of hope for the next generation, these children, accompanied by a bagpiper, were the first to walk on this newly opened $3.7 million Governor's Bay jetty over the weekend. The 149-year-old jetty has been off limits for more than a decade after it was badly damaged in the 2011 Canterbury earthquakes. More than 400 supporters were on deck to celebrate the reopening on Saturday, which gave thanks to the hard work of all involved in the restoration.
This project is a perfect example of how community groups and council can work together to build and rebuild facilities by harnessing the energy inherent in waiting to allow these things to fly. And you will all know full well how at risk a revival to this jetty was, and you stepped up to the enormous task to save it.
In 2015, the Christchurch City Council announced they had no intentions of repairing the badly damaged 300-metre-long jetty, which they estimated would cost almost $8 million. That news rallied the small community into action and was met with the formation of the Governor's Bay Jetty Restoration Trust, who believed the jetty could be repaired for less than half of the council's estimated cost.
Despite the funding challenges of a small community of 400 households, a pandemic, the need for improved design and engineering solutions, this belief has never wavered.
The council eventually made an agreement with the trust, taking on a 50-50 cost-sharing arrangement. Well over $1 million has been raised for the restoration, which still needs a further $350,000 over the next 4 years to meet its target. In Christchurch, the South Today.
A Queenstown food charity can now breathe a sigh of relief after receiving a message of support from their community. The future of Kiwi harvest has been up in the air following funding cuts, but with tens of thousands of dollars donated from around Whakatipu, they've now found themselves a new home.
A huge community effort has saved the day, as Queenstown's food rescue charity Kiwi Harvest has received enough donations to move to their new location. The group created a Give a Little page last August after the government revealed they were cutting funding to the food rescue sector by $10 million. This put Kiwi Harvest in a pickle, with the cuts leaving them with no way to pay rent at their Glendale Drive depot. However, the charity has been saved thanks to the Whakatipu community, who rallied together, raising around $41,000, helping them build their new temporary location in Frankton.
Yeah, the community's got behind us in a big way, and happy to say that we've reached the threshold with the funding needed. We're excited to hopefully get our new depot up and running in the next month.
Queenstown branch manager Gary Hughes says they'll be temporarily set up with storage containers on their eventual new home at the Whakatipu Community Hub behind 5 Mile Countdown. He believes the temporary spot, which will be built by Wilson Contractors, will be able to run at the same level as their current depot.
That's why the 4 container setup is based to meet the storage needs that we have at the minute, meaning we don't have to reduce our capacity, which is huge for all the charities we work with to know that we can run at them same levels.
He's racing to tie a few loose ends to move in within the next 3 weeks, hoping to get in before the next monthly resort level rent payment for their Glendale Drive property. Kiwi Harvest new base will be the last element built at the region's community hub, meaning their new permanent home won't be ready for at least another 3 years. In Queenstown, the South Today.
With voting for the New Zealand general election just getting underway, another more local election has officially wrapped up. The Otago University Students Association is welcoming in a new president, coming into the position with some big ideas on how to improve the student experience.
Taking a seat in her new office, all ready for her first term of presidency. Keegan Wells has been elected as the new Otago University Students Association president after running unopposed in the student election. She's spent the past year as a postgraduate students representative for the organisation, which has taught her the importance of pastoral care.
Like the small wins are what really matters within OUSA. I think I came in thinking that I could change the world in a 10-hour position, which evidently, alongside a thesis, is not the easiest thing to do.
Wells says there's been a lot of loneliness within student culture following the COVID-19 pandemic, so opening a designated student bar is at the top of her agenda for 2024.
New bar on campus is great, but it's not a chill bar, right? It is like a place to go see a gig. And as much as the music scene is also very important, I think somewhere that you can have a quiet beer is also very important.
Wells will be taking over from current OUSA President Quinton Jane at the start of next year and says she will be bringing the go big or go home mentality to the position. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Some merino sheep in central Otago are starting their week off a lot lighter after getting highly contested cuts last weekend. Alexandra welcomed competitors from across the country and abroad as they took shears in hand to prove their razor-sharp skills.
Getting stuck in to prove they're a cut above the rest. With shears at the ready, these competitors gave more than 1,000 merino sheep some overdue haircuts for the 62nd New Zealand Merino Shearing and Wool Handling Championships. Alexandra hosted the prestigious competition recently, attracting competitors from around the country and even Australia to the small central Otago township.
And the merino wool being the ultimate fibre of the world, the shearers and wool handlers from throughout the country want to prove themselves on this type of wool.
The two-day event kicked off on Friday as wool handlers and shearers showcased what it takes to be the best in their trade, with both championships being taken out by South Islanders. It's the second year in a row industry legend Samson Tafuta's brought along an Indigenous team from Australia, which he believes helps newer generations of merino wool shearers.
If we can capture this and take some of the skills in amongst our people with our children here now, that can only be good for us, for our clip in Australia.
Alongside the main competitions, shares were also taken to some teddy bears as the industry's up-and-comers look to begin honing in their skills. In Alexandra, the South Today.
High-flying manoeuvres and trash-talking filled Queenstown Memorial Centre as pro wrestling took hold of the resort town. WrestleFest slammed into action recently as a hometown hero returned to the ring following a scare with a career-threatening injury last year.
Chairs, fists and bodies were flying around the Queenstown Memorial Centre as the annual WrestleFest made its way back to the resort town on Saturday evening. After a one-year hiatus, the Southern Pro Wrestling New Zealand event saw hundreds of roaring fans cheer on the exaggerated feature matches. This year's tournament featured Wakatipu's first women's bout, with Megan Kate holding on to her championship bout against fellow Aucklander Amber Saint.
You're welcome that I flew all the way here, that I am literally freezing my tits off and the best asset I have. And you're welcome that I brought this here with me. So.
The fast-paced night highlighted Mark Perry, better known by his wrestling name, Hooligan Marcus Cool, returning to the hometown ring after a career-threatening neck injury he suffered over a year ago. After calling out his long-term rival Jackson Cross,
I'm going to prove once and for all that Jackson Cross is a dickhead, and I've got his number.
Hooligan took home the long-awaited win with a ladder dive and a kick to the face. The WrestleFest event was started by Mark Perry and Tony Crosby in 2015 and has run every year in the Basin except for 2022 due to Perry's injury. In Queenstown, the South Today.
Whai Yakane still to come on Southern Newsweek. Something's cooking in Port Chalmers as a popular Kaimoana festival makes a comeback, and Southern cyclists gear up for a special track opening in Gore. Tēnā koe, welcome back. There was something fishy happening near Dunedin over the weekend as thousands flocked to get a taste of the sea. The popular Port Chalmers Seafood Festival made a triumphant return, taking to the seaside suburb for the first time in 4 years.
Digging into some tasty kai straight from the moana. Around 3,500 people made their way to the Port Chalmers Seafood Festival on Saturday, hooking themselves a bite at Port Otago. It's the first time the biennial event has been held in 4 years, with the cold and rainy weather unable to deter the seafood lovers.
It is going off. I think we started out a little bit rainy, a little bit cold, and it's just turned into a dream for us. It's amazing.
Free buses and trains were running from central Dunedin to Port Chalmers, allowing visitors to enjoy the food and drink vendors, entertainment and fishing competitions on offer at the event. The festival relied heavily on help from local Dunedin groups and organisations, including help from volunteers who assisted with running the bar and kitchens.
Just, I guess, the sense of achievement and the sense of belonging to something. Yeah, it's really rewarding actually.
Event organisers were pleased with the turnout for the festival's return as they provided a fun and delicious day out for the family despite the wintry weather. In Port Chalmers, the South Today.
Southland bike enthusiasts have something to get excited about as they test their wheels on a new pump track in Gore. The new world-class asset officially opened to the public over the weekend, but developers say it's just the start of many things to come.
Southland children riding the windy trails of a new pump track in Gore. Around 250 people attended the official opening of the newly built track on Sunday, marking the first stage of Waikaia Forest Trails Trust project. They're planning to develop a bike hub in the nearby forest, which will feature a 25-kilometre network of mountain bike trails.
Oh, look, it's just incredible, and standing here today, I'm just so proud of what the community's managed to achieve. From seeing it go from an idea on a piece of paper to a world-class asset sitting here behind us.
Trust Chairwoman Hilary Kelso says a lot of hard work and planning has gone into the project so far, with the new pump track already giving riders the opportunity to develop their skills.
You've got 2-year-olds on their balance bikes out there, and you could have an 82-year-old going on there and they've got equally big smiles on their faces. It's just incredible.
Kelso was happy to see a positive number of people at the opening, watching them enjoy the Trust's new $140,000 track.
Certainly the weather has played its part and brought people in. We're just overwhelmed though with the supportive turnout. Developers will be spending the next week scoping out the surrounding forest area, marking out potential trails for stage 2 of the project. In Gore, the South Today.
The International Day of Older Persons was celebrated in Christchurch with a pop-up ballet class over the weekend. Around 60 dancers of all ages and abilities took the opportunity to try the prestigious art form, many taking to the dance floor for the first time.
These dancers proving age is no barrier, as they push their boundaries by learning something new. The International Day of Older Persons was celebrated in Christchurch on Sunday, with a pop-up ballet class for anyone wanting to try the classical art form.
I think people are uncertain about how they can approach ballet as an adult, and this sort of environment of the pop-up class where it's more relaxed and a bit of fun, I think enables them to realise that actually it is something they could achieve.
The fun one-off event was held at Rangiruru Girls' School Gymnasium, proving very popular with the oldies.
I didn't know what to expect. I was hopeful, so that was great. I think we were almost 60 dancers that turned up to the class today. Some of them have maybe had ballets in their youth, others came for the very, very first time to their ballet class.
Bosman Ballet Flow run regular classes, with the aim to make ballet more inclusive and accessible to all.
We're a ballet studio dedicated just to ballet for adults. So I teach students from the youngest I think I have is 20, and then my oldest is 87.
Bosman says adult ballet for beginners is rising in popularity, believing it has so many benefits for anyone who takes part, young or old.
The Silver Swans program that the Royal Academy of Dance initiated is really to get people of all ages into the ballet studio because of the huge benefits you can get from ballet, physically, mentally, emotionally, socially.
The success of the event has encouraged organisers to consider more pop-up ballet classes in the future, hoping to continue attracting more people to the art form. In Christchurch, the South Today.
Tummies are no longer rumbling in Dunedin as a popular vegetarian eatery opens the doors to hungry patrons once again. The Bowling Club is back and better than ever after taking a short hiatus from serving up its well-known affordable meals and community mahi.
Dishing up some cheap and healthy vegetarian tucker. The Bowling Club has officially reopened for business after a 3-week well-deserved break from cooking up for the community. The Caversham Eatery is run by married couple Jackie Bannon and Liam Arthur, who have seen the number of meals served triple since they moved from a food truck into their South Road premises.
It's going to be pretty busy, but you really never know. Like, it is school holidays and we've never done a Tuesday before, so yeah, it's a bit hard to tell, but I think we're busy because it's an opening night, so yeah.
The Bowling Club now serves around 1,000 of their affordable meat-free meals a night. Customers bringing their own containers pay just $4 for the daily main dish, or can pay extra for a biodegradable takeaway box. But the establishment also gives meals away for free to people in need, earning them a large following of loyal patrons.
Especially at the beginning of service, like right when we open, it's usually the same 10 people to kind of wait outside and come right in. So that's kind of nice. It feels like your whole family's coming over or something.
The Bowling Club is now open every Tuesday to Thursday, with people piling in to get a taste of their good food and get amongst the community spirit. In Dunedin, the South Today.
That wraps up this edition of Southern Newsweek. For the latest news and videos from the Southern region, head online to odt.co.nz, and you can follow Channel 39 on YouTube and the South Today NZ on Facebook to catch our news bulletins on demand. We'll see you again next week. Mā te wā.
Public interest journalism funded through New Zealand On Air.